Hello and welcome to Fusion Fundamentals with me, MJ. Today we're going to be taking it step by step, making this Rubik's Cube. And we're not just going to be making a square with some blocks, we're actually going to be designing each little block and how they interact. So in theory we could 3D print this and we could use it. Just note that there's a center section here and they would be normally screwed together through this cap. But let's carry on and see how we go. So before I started recording, I actually did the Rubik's Cube and it looks like some of the dimensions aren't 100% fantastic, but we'll just make the most of it. This is going to be a pretty long video, so there'll be sections where I just put in some music and you can follow along. So we're going to start off with the core. So here's the technical drawing for the core. We can see that it's quite symmetrical. We're going to start off by drawing this 7.6 millimeter and 2.5 millimeter circle on our origin plane, and then we'll do the same thing on each plane. I'm going to create a sketch and we're going to make the sketch on the top plane. It was 7.6 and then the next one is 2.5. I'm going to finish sketch and we're going to extrude this here. Select that profile and I'm going to go symmetric. We're going to change this to whole length. The whole length is 19 millimeters. Okay, so there's the first one. Now we're going to repeat the step on several different planes. Okay, and create sketch. We'll use this plane now. Center diameter circle, 7.6. And then we do the next one, 2.5. Finish sketch. And we'll extrude this profile. Same thing, symmetric. Whole distance, 19 millimeters. And this is going to be a join operation. One more and then we've got the core. Create a sketch on this plane now. C for center diameter circle, 7.6, and then the internal one of 2.5. Finish sketch and extrude. Symmetric, whole length, 19. Join. So there we go, we've got our first component, or this is actually a body, we'd have to convert it to component, but there we're ready to move on to the next piece. So this is the center piece that connects onto the core. It's 19 by 19 by 19, so it's also a cube in dimension, but then it's got this centerpiece that connects on. So I'm just going to do the centerpiece, extrude it out, and then I will unite the bodies or join the bodies later on. So I'm going to create this sketch on this plane here. I'm just going to project this and finish sketch. Then I'll extrude it out 19 millimeters and make it a new body. So that will be the size of the piece. And I'll create another sketch on this face, and it's going to be a center rectangle from that origin point there, and it'll be 19 by 19. So I'm just toggling between the two sides by pushing tab. We'll finish sketch there. Now I'm just going to extrude this section over here. So this wasn't in our drawing, but I estimated it to be 11.4. I'm just going to keep this as a new body. So this 11.4 is what I worked it out as being, negative 11.4. New body. So the reason it's a new body is because I'm going to still perform a cut operation from there. So we'll go into bodies. Let me just label this core. And I'll label this body once I have joined them. So we need to cut across here. We can see that it's a 19mm radius and it starts 28.5, so this should be maybe the center of the origin. So I'm going to create a sketch on this side plane here. I'm going to project this line and then dimension between here and the origin. Yeah, so that's 28.5. So there's no need to add anything in there. Let's just do our arc. I'm going to go center point arc from this. That's going to be 19. Now we can just draw this out here. Doesn't have to be exact, but for neatness sake, I'll just make these two have a vertical constraint, and then I'll draw a line between them. Now this is the profile we're going to cut out. So if I go to extrude, we'll select that, and it's going to go all the way through. And we'll repeat this step on this plane. There we go. Let's turn this body back on, and now we'll combine this body and that body, and there we've got our piece. Let's call this center, because it's the middle of the middle. Don't know what they're actually called, but let's just go with this naming format. Now we need to pattern this. We create pattern, circular pattern. We'll select bodies. The body with pattern is that. Access any one of these center rotation axes, and 4. There we've got that. So create pattern, circular pattern, select our object, and the axis will be that axis. And it's 3, we're going to make this symmetric. So now there you can see it's put it on either side. And it's starting to look like something, eh? Let's move on to the next body. Let's go and have a look at the next piece. This is now the center of the edge. So again, we've got our 19 by 19 cube, and then this one's got a 19mm radius cutout, and then we've got this extra little section over there. Looks like it's got a curve there. I'm assuming that's going to be 19 as well. So let's start off with the cube and do the cutout. So I'm just going to create a sketch on this face over here. I'm going to project this corner there, and we've got this corner here. So our 2-point rectangle, I'll follow that line. You see how touching the edge gives you a blue line that marks the horizontal or vertical line where it will stay in line with that. So we just make this 19 by 19, and we can see it touches there nicely. Finish sketch. Now I'll extrude this out. Also 19 minus 19. Be sure to mark it as a new body. And to make this a bit easier, I'm just going to hide a couple of these bodies. Don't quite need all of them now. And we can actually go back into the sketch that we did here and create our arc. So we'll go to create arc, and center arc. Make that 19. And we'll start it here. Run it through there. We'll just make a line because we're going to be using this as our cutting tool. Finish sketch. Now if we turn that sketch back on, we should be able to use that part of the sketch to cut out. So extrude, and we'll cut right through. So we could say through, or type in a distance, or just drag it and make sure it's going all the way. So that's our first step. Now we're going to add in the little lip. Turn the sketch off, and let's go see what the lip needs to look like. So again, these drawings I got weren't entirely accurate. I think this was 7.6 is what I measured it at, and then it's 24 from the edge, so we'll just work that out. I'm going to create a new sketch. It's going to be on the front plane because it's the center there, then I can just extrude out in either direction. I will project those. So it was from here, we'll go down 24.4, and then we'll come across by 24.4. And that just shows us where that piece is going to extend to. I'm just going to push R for rectangle and draw it up there. This was 14.4. So this wasn't in the sketch, but this is what I estimated it to be. I can see now we're going to add that curve in just now. So finish sketch, and we'll extrude this. It was 7.6 millimeters in either direction, 7.6 or 7.6 total, but I'm going to make that symmetric and whole length, and it'll be join. So let's just make sure these bodies are off so it doesn't join to them. Okay, I'm just going to put our curve in there, so let's turn a couple more bodies off here. That's the wrong one. What's the call? Okay, so we're going to now create a sketch on this face, and we're going to choose arc, center arc, and this was also 19 millimeters or 18.5. So we'll mark it 18.5 and draw it across. And then I'll just put this constraint, make it nice and even, and we'll draw our lines. And that didn't quite line up, but we can just knock in a horizontal constraint there and finish sketch. We're just going to extrude this object, make sure we've selected these little bits that we're actually cutting off, and extend type will be to object. We'll select that object, and it should cut that little arc there nice and neat. There we go. I'm going to repeat that step for this side. Again, extrude, make sure we've selected the little fits over there. Shoe object, we'll select that object and we'll cut it. Now we'll turn on our pieces and we'll mirror this piece or pattern it and fill in the blanks. And then we just rename them. So now we're just going to repeat this pattern for the other two sides. Now all that's left is the corner pieces. Let's go look at that one. So I'm not sure if this is 100% correct, but we're going to just start off with this 19 by 19 cube, and then we'll come back here and have a look at the dimensions for that extra bit. I'm going to create a sketch over here, and we're going to do a rectangle 19 by 19. Finish sketch. We'll just extrude it there 19 millimeters, and it's going to be a new body. Okay, now let's turn off some of these other ones. You can see as I hover over it, it highlights the one that it is. This just helps me identify which ones to turn off. Not too sure what angle I'm going in at here yet, but we'll figure this out. So that little thing's got a depth of 7.6. I'm assuming it's centered. So I'll draw it on that plane and up 7.6, and it's got a 19 millimeter radius from the origin, and these are 23.3. So let's do that. I'm going to create a sketch on this plane. Just going to slice so we can see our plane that we're working on, and project this. I'm going to do a line, just a construction line, so we can see where we need to draw our lines. So it looks like that's where that comes out to. So we're just going to select the arc tool now, center point arc, and on the center there, start it over here, 19, and run it all the way across. I'm just making this a lot bigger than it needs to be. And then we'll select our line tool, and that it joins up there. And we'll join it up here as well. So I'm just making sure that that is horizontal, and we can T for trim. I'll trim the excess off there, and we've got our little piece. So finish sketch. Now I'm going to extrude this in both directions. Symmetric. Hole length is 7.6. And it is a join. Let's check. I hope it's not touching any other bodies. For safety's sake, I'm going to turn them off. Okay. And that should be our piece. So we can now turn these back on. On, not off. And we will pattern this. We missed a couple of patterns there, so I haven't completed this side yet. So let's do that quick. We will pattern this. So we can pattern this. Axis will be that axis. I'm just going to 2. Okay, so there we've got that one. Now we'll do the pattern on this. And then turn off a couple here. So I want this to be patterned all the way around. Pattern, associate pattern, this one, axis, this axis, and we've got 4. And I want that mirrored on this plane, so instead of patterning it, I'm just going to mirror it. And select objects, and the mirror plane will be our center plane here, or the left plane. Now let's see if we did this right. I should be able to turn everything on, and we have a complete cube. Oh, that looks good. Let us get to our symmetric view. We can go inspect, sectional analysis. Let's click on here. As we move through, you can see the parts where they intersect and change. I'm kind of hoping it's all in place. We can turn a couple of parts off to just make sure we are in the right place.